The defendant told Cato that he, the defendant, didn't know if Paula was the one. I don't know. But let me tell you something about this letter, just to go back. And this whole interior decorator situation. The fuse is burning, and it is getting short. Okay, it's getting short. He is trying to erase her presence, for instance, from his home. Okay, this is how short the fuse is getting. He's trying to erase her presence from his home. He has hired an interior decorator to redecorate the bedroom, the master bedroom, was it? And the bathroom. They're going to rip out the plumbing. The places she had been, they are going to change. They are going to erase her presence from the house. He is going to erase her presence from the house, or at least he's going to try. He is angry and he is upset. He has been rejected and he doesn't like that rejection. And he's trying to get over her. He's trying to get beyond this. And so what does he do? He gets rid of her wedding photo, their wedding picture, puts it underneath the bed. He is trying to get beyond this, but he can't get beyond this because the fuse is burning, because he is upset and angry that the relationship was terminated by her. I mean, you look at that picture, you look at them. After you're divorced and after you break up with someone, you don't usually keep the pictures out, right? I mean, you don't. But do you throw them underneath the bed? You put them in a box, or you get rid of them altogether. That's what you do. But in this case, in his case, he is trying to get over her, but he can't. He can't get over her. He can't get beyond this. On the one hand, he throws this picture underneath the bed. And on the one hand, she is out of sight, and he hopes out of mind. But on the other hand, she's just beneath the bed, where he has access to it, where he can grab it, and where he can look at it. He is beginning to obsess with her. He is becoming obsessive with her, and he is trying to replace her at the same time with Paula. His relationship with Paula supposedly blooms again all of a sudden at about this time, right after she breaks up with him. If she broke up with him on May 22nd, and by June the 6th or whatever, he and Paula are back together, and now they're ripping the plumbing out of the house. You know, people need space. You need time when you're in a relationship, especially one that lasted 17 years. He is trying to replace Nicole with Paula, and he is trying to find some sense of control. But the fuse is burning. And I just wish Dr. Walker had been here to help explain this to you. I'm sure she could have done a better job of it than I have so far. And so we move on. The days pass, and that photo was People's 536. The wedding photo. And the days pass, and we begin to approach June 12th, the day of the recital. You recall that the defendant had conversations with Cato Kalin that day, and he talked about Nicole. He talked about her dress. He talked about how short it was. He talked about the relationship being over. It didn't appear, and you tell me, maybe you disagree, that he and Cato Kalin had that kind of relationship, the kind of relationship where he would vent his frustrations regarding Nicole to Cato. I don't know. You saw Cato, and I don't know why anybody wanted to discuss the personal problems with Cato Kalin, but he did. And he talked about Nicole a couple of times that day to Cato Kalin. And Marcia cross-examined Cato Kalin and directly examined Cato Kalin. And they talked about those conversations. And as Marcia mentioned yesterday, Cato had a bias. And he was biased in favor of the defendant. He minimized things. That's not to say that he just outright lied about things, but he minimized things. I think he minimized the tone of the defendant's voice when he talked about Nicole. I think he minimized just how upset the defendant was when he talked about Nicole. But hey, whatever. The defendant supposedly seen Paula. It's the day of the recital. And what happened that day? Well, the fuse got shorter. I'll tell you why. Paula, his new girlfriend, wanted to go to the recital. The recital where Sydney was going to be performing over at the school. And they had an argument about that, for lack of a better term. They had a disagreement about that. She wanted to go. He didn't want her to go. He wanted to go alone. He told Cato that they had a disagreement about that, and she was upset. Well, why is that important? It's important because she left. It's important because Paula left. She left Rockingham. She left Los Angeles. But apparently he didn't know that. Apparently they had their disagreement about the recital. Paula got mad. Paula left town. It's pretty apparent that he didn't know that. I can't tell you how bad that disagreement was, or if there were raised voices or whatever. We don't have any of that in the testimony or in the evidence in this case. But we do know that Paula left and that he didn't know where Paula had gone. And the fuse is getting shorter. Because what happened that day is this. Paula, as a woman, I guess she's asserting her womanhood. She's supposed to be his woman now. She wants to go to the recital. Why not? He won't let her. Why won't he let her? Because he still has hope for Nicole. He still has some hope. He still has some hope. He doesn't want Paula to go to the recital. He won't let Paula go to the recital. And Paula realizes why. And she packs up and she leaves. That afternoon, the defendant called Nicole. We'll get the right photo board. That afternoon he called Nicole's house. See, he's still got hope. He's got hope that, she's always come back, right? Each and every time that they've gone back and forth many, many times. They've always gotten back together. She's always come back. But she isn't coming back this time. But he still has hope. He's put in a catch-22 situation of sorts that day when he and Paula talk about her going to the recital. He has to make a choice that day. He's either going to go to the recital where Nicole is, alone, hope in hand, or he's going to choose Paula. It's either Nicole or Paula. If he takes Paula to the recital, take her out in public, take her around Nicole, take her around the Brown family. He's made a choice now. Okay, it's public. Everybody knows he has made a choice. He is now with Paula, but he couldn't make that choice because he still had hope, and he still had hope for Nicole. And so he called Nicole on June 12th. He called her and talked to her at 2:18 in the afternoon. It was a 4-minute phone call. And something happened during that phone call. But let me tell you what else. That after he finished that 4-minute phone call with Nicole, he tried to call Paula. As soon as he hung up with Nicole, he tried to call Paula in the 305 area code, Florida, right here. The phone call it began at 2:18, it lasted 4 minutes. At 2:22, he's calling Florida. Something happened. I don't know what happened. Something happened. Whatever happened during that phone call, he had a need to talk to Paula thereafter or immediately thereafter. But he's calling Florida looking for Paula. But we know from the testimony and the evidence in this case already that Paula's in Las Vegas in a hotel room being paid for by Michael Bolton. He doesn't know where she is. Sounds like she got upset and stormed off and went about her business. But he can't find Paula. He's having a problem with Nicole. He's about to lose all the women, both the women in his life. And the fuse is getting shorter, folks. It's getting shorter. And the frustration is building. Okay? And the anger is building. And something has triggered his anger, because in all of this, this is a tension. This entire relationship over a 10-year period is filled with tension because of the doors being kicked in and the punches and the slaps and the intimidation and the control and all of that. I mean, this is a very, very tense relationship, and things are about to explode because he has that conversation with her. He tries to call Paula. He can't find Paula. And by the time he gets to that recital that afternoon, around 5 o'clock, he is fit to be tied. He is angry. You heard the testimony of Candace Garvey, Steve Garvey's wife. She was also at the recital. She knows the defendant. She'd known him for a long time. He came into the recital. She and Steve spoke to him. He said, "Hello. How are you? How are you doing?" And what was her testimony? What was his response? There was no response immediately. Do you recall her testimony? He had a blank stare on his face. He was distracted. She told you that it was as if he looked right through her, as if he didn't recognize that she was there. And she told you that his demeanor that afternoon in the recital frightened her. And she told you that he was angry. And Denise Brown testified as well about that recital. And they told you that he was angry and he didn't look to be or act like the O.J. Simpson they had come to know. Candace Garvey said that he was distant, that his anger was simmering, that he had this look of simmering anger. He was in a slow burn and the fuse was getting shorter. Something set him off, and perhaps what set him off was this 4-minute phone call at 2 in the afternoon. Perhaps his inability to find Paula that afternoon set him off. Okay, now the fuse is really burning. Now the fuse is getting shorter. And there's going to be an explosion, folks. There's going to be an explosion. He arrives at the recital. He sees Candace Garvey, literally ignores her. He's angry. He takes a seat in the auditorium. He sees the Brown family seated in the auditorium. Okay. Judith Brown, Lou Brown, Nicole's parents, and her sisters. Nicole is seated with them or near them. He goes over to the Brown family and he greets everybody in the family, every one of them. He greets everybody but Nicole. He doesn't address Nicole. This is a family event, right? His daughter, Nicole's daughter, at the recital dancing, but he doesn't address her because he is angry. He is consumed with anger, and the fuse is getting shorter. He doesn't appear like the O.J. that they knew, the man that they knew. Candace Garvey is frightened by his demeanor. And what does he do? He takes a seat behind the Brown family. And there are no seats near the Brown family, so nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with the fact that he takes a seat behind the Brown family. But as Denise Brown told you on the witness stand, after a few minutes, he just abruptly got up and moved. He got up, took a chair, and in this dark auditorium, because the program was going on, he takes that chair and he moves into the corner and he sits in the corner of the auditorium. Denise Brown told you that she could not understand. She did not understand why he did that. She told you on the witness stand that she didn't say anything to offend him. Nobody said anything to offend him. Why is he so angry? Who is he angry at? Well, common sense would tell us that he's angry at Nicole. Why? Because he didn't address her. But for another reason as well. As he sits there in the corner in the dark, he isn't watching the program on the stage. He's watching Nicole. Candace Garvey told you this. Denise Brown told you this as well. That whenever they looked over at the defendant, that he was not looking at the stage or the program on the stage or the kids dancing up on the stage. they told you that every time they looked over in that dark corner at the defendant, he was staring at Nicole. He was staring at Nicole, and that simmering anger that he had, folks, he was about to lose control. The fuse is getting shorter, and there's about to be an explosion. He is about to lose control. And he's about to lose control like he did on those earlier occasions. And sure, he didn't kill her on those earlier occasions in October of 93 or in 1989. But that was then. And back then, the fuse was a lot longer. But now, the fuse is way short. It's awfully short. And when the program was over, clearly he knew that the relationship was over. In the past, he had done things to Nicole, and she had come back. But not only that, the Brown family. He still had the Brown family. But when you consider the evidence in this case, you see that after the recital, Nicole and the kids and the Brown family went to the Mezzaluna for dinner. They didn't invite him to go. He has been rejected, completely rejected. He has been rejected in public, and this is how these things work. You may sit here and think, oh, well, this isn't such a big deal. Well, sure. Perhaps in your lives and in your relationship, this wouldn't be such a big deal. But you have to put it in the context of the relationship that they've had. This is a big deal. It is a big deal to him. And he is rejected in public. They go off to dinner. He's left to go off to dinner with Kato Kalin. He isn't used to rejection, by the way. He's a celebrity. We talked about that earlier. Celebrities get, you get the best tables. You always get everything you want. You get what you want. There are no rules for celebrities. But on June 12th, he isn't getting what he wants. And so he goes home. And the fuse is getting shorter. And it's getting shorter. And he talks to Kato Kalin and he complains about the dress she wore. And the fuse is getting shorter. Christian Reichardt was called by the defense, and he testified that he spoke to the defendant at 9 o'clock that night. And then when he spoke to the defendant, that the defendant was jovial, happier than he'd been in weeks. He went from simmering anger at the recital to jovial at 9 p.m. that night. Well, what happened? Why is that? It's because the defendant has developed a plan. He has come up with a plan to rid himself of the problem that has plagued him for 17 years. And he talks to Reichardt. He called Reichardt, as a matter of fact, if you believe that testimony. So many weird things going on that evening. He wants $5 for the sky cap. Cato gives him a 20. He's driving the Bentley to McDonald's. He's calling Christian Reichardt at 9 o'clock. And he tells Reichardt that he's packing. Right then, 9 o'clock, he's packing to go to the airport. That was the testimony from Reichardt. But then you have these other witnesses come in, Miss Arnell Simpson and Gigi, the maid. They come in and they tell you that he always packs at the very, very last minute. He rushes around the house, and how everybody knows that he does that. What is going on here? Why is he packing now? Why is he doing these things with Kato Kalin? Why is he jovial all of a sudden, if you believe Christian Reichardt? It's because he has a plan and he knows what he is going to do. He has had enough. The public rejection that day is enough. Folks, let me tell you, the fuse is so short at this point that he is about to explode. The next thing we know, he's in that Bronco. He is in the Bronco at 10 o'clock or earlier. We don't know when exactly he got into that Bronco, but we know that at 10 o'clock he's into that Bronco, and he is driving in that Bronco. And why wouldn't he be? How do we know that? We know that, as Ms. Clark said, because he keeps the phone in the Bronco, and he is panicked, and he is out of control, and he needs someone or something to help calm him. And so what does he do? He calls Paula. But he calls Paula in two places. He calls Paula at a 310 area code in LA,